All right. Good morning. How you all doing? Hope you're all well. Karibuni sana. Welcome to another episode of the Forex Daily Analysis. This beautiful 19th day of February 2025. Hope you're well from whichever part of the world it is that you're joining us from. But we're really glad that you did make the time to be here with us. For the sake of guys who are new here and you've never been here before, karibuni sana. Remember to also like and subscribe. We're always live every morning, Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. in the morning. So you will definitely be able to join us. Of course, if you do like, subscribe, and also turn on the bell notification, then at least you will be notified anytime we do actually end up going live. So John Bogo is my name. I'm a trader with Afriforex. Afriforex is a trading unit. So we do have the rest of the team here. So in case you do have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat box. Of course, for the guys who are here when we're live, for the guys who are going to be watching this much later on, still feel free to send in your comments on the comment section, and we'll try as best as possible to end up getting back to you. So we're going to jump straight into it, and we'll start off by looking at the watch list. That's where we always begin every morning. So you can see right there the watch list for today, Wednesday, the 19th of February 2025. So we will be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities on the Great British Pound, the Canadian dollar, and the US dollar, mixing and matching that up with everything on the sell side. Couple of changes based on what we had yesterday. You can see the New Zealand dollar and the Japanese yen have joined the sell side of things. The USD has joined the buy side. So we can end up looking at a couple of currency pairs that we had yesterday that unfortunately did not make it to our watch list this morning. So we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. And you can see the three regions that I have pointed out, and also some illustrations of what to expect. So in the morning, price was somewhere within here. It was either the market to break to the upside or maybe pull back in within this region to get some buying opportunities. So you can see that during the London session, the market was on the pullback at exactly 4, which is during the US session open. You can see that the market was back within some sort of a buyer's region, and off that area, you can see that the buy did happen. And also another bigger buy that did happen. There were some NZD interest rate decisions that were released early this morning. So you will see a lot of moves on the NZD pairs. But unfortunately, the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc, not really a currency pair that we will be trying to see whether we can trade today. So the next one, this is the Swiss franc against Japanese yen. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see the three areas I had pointed out. Also an illustration of what to expect. In the morning, price was here. I pointed out that it was better to wait and see if we could get the price coming in within here. And you can see that the price just tapped in within that region. If you look at the times at around 11 or thereabout, which is during the London session open, that's when the London big boys actually came in. So you can see the previous one during the US session at 4, price was within a support region. This one at 11, which is during the London session, price was within a region of resistance, and you can see that the price pushed itself off that region coming down. So I know we sound like a broken record, but it's very important to know and identify where the price is, especially during the market opening times. That will definitely increase the probability of your trades working out. So the next one is the Great British Pound against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas that I had pointed out. So aggressive conservative, semi-aggressive conservative here, but also a region here that I pointed out that maybe we could look for some buying opportunities, especially for the guys who are really good at trading. So you can see that in the morning, price was here, went to the upside, came back in, and you can see that this level held for quite an extended period of time. The sellers just couldn't get past that region to the downside. So I guess the buys were happening off here. But I pointed out that you also did need to be very good in terms of watching out for your risk to reward, because coming up, to get a proper risk to reward, your stop losses did need to be tight, but also running the risk of getting stopped out, especially when the market does weeks and all sorts of things within that region there. So that one, unfortunately, not really going to be a currency pair that's going to be on our watch list for today. So the next one is the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. You can see the three areas I had pointed out. In the morning, price was here. We're expecting maybe to get some sort of a spike within this region before we get the sellers really coming in and pushing the market down. But I guess that wasn't necessary. The price came down during the London, just before the London session opened, bounced off this region, came back up, and you can see that also this one from around 5:30, price is back within a seller's region, and off that area you can see that the sellers did actually push the market to the downside. Unfortunately, yesterday they were just not able to get past here, but today it seems that they are trying to make a go for it, during the Asian session. But of course, if we did get that trade and it managed, then you should be fine, for as long as you're not really looking to see whether you can jump in on other opportunities. But just make sure you watch out for the region at the bottom. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the euro against the New Zealand dollar rather. So for this one, yesterday, we were trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out, also an illustration of what to expect. So in the morning, price was somewhere within here. We're expecting price to possibly end up coming up before coming down. Consider there were a number of probes within this region here before the market came down. But of course, due to the NZD news events that did end up getting released early this morning, that's the reason why you can see that spike that did actually end up coming in, and the market did move to the upside quite aggressively just up that region, and you can see that the market has actually ended up coming down. Of course, the big selling opportunity that it did want to see yesterday did end up happening early this morning. So I guess that's the nature of the market. Sometimes that does end up happening. So the next one, this is the euro against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday we're also trying to see whether we could have gotten some sells. Can't see the three regions that I had pointed out where we could have looked for the sells, and also an illustration of what to expect. So yesterday morning price was here. We're expecting maybe to get price pulling back in within here. Unfortunately, it didn't. But there was this region right here that I pointed out that maybe that price could have been good enough for the sellers. And you can see that the market did push to the downside all through the London session. But unfortunately, during the US session, we couldn't get the market breaching that region to the downside. So the next one, this is the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So for this one, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. The buyers that come up aggressive, tapped within this region here. We're expecting maybe to get the market maybe coming back in and holding to the downside of that red SNR, but unfortunately we just couldn't get that. And you can see that the market actually held the upside of that region for quite an extended period of time, and even attempted to move up higher during the Asian session, when the interest rate decisions were released. But the market has done a massive spike within that region there. Maybe we could find the sells, possibly coming in today. But unfortunately, it's not really going to be a currency pair that we will be trying to see whether we can end up trading. So for this one, unfortunately, not a currency pair that's going to be on our watch list today. So moving on into the last one, which is the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday we were also trying to see whether we could have gotten sells. You can't see the three regions I had pointed out. In the morning, price was here, had just broken to the upside of this region, pointed out that hopefully we did want to see the market come back to the downside of this area here. And if we did get a hold, then we could have looked for the sells. This one worked out pretty well, because if you look at even the detail of what happened within this particular region, you will see that the market did actually end up coming back in quite well, ended up holding within this region. And if you do look at the times, you will notice that that was at around 11, which is during the London market open. So you can see that the market came down. There was even some sort of a spike that did happen within this region here. So you can see that the market even just pulled back in, just tapped within that region there, and came down quite nicely all through the London session. So for this one, also not a currency pair that unfortunately is going to be on our watch list for today. So I guess we can end up looking at a couple of screenshots that we did end up getting before we do look at what the watch list and what the currency pairs are going to be looking like for today. So the first one, this one is from Dan Bickett. So shout out to you for this trade. This is the euro against the Japanese yen. So we just had a look at it. It's not a currency pair that we're going to be having today, but it's good to see that you did get the sell on this one, high up within that region, stop loss already beneath your point of entry. And I can see that, of course, hopefully you did do some money management down within this region right here, even if you're targeting areas much lower. So shout out to you for that. Dan Bickett, and keep up the good work. So we also did get trade on, this is on the NAS 100, also from Dan Bickett. So you can see that you got a sell. Seems like you got two selling opportunities, one high up there and another sell somewhere within this region here. And I can see that your stop losses, I think for both trades, seem to be somewhere within this region here. So shout out to you for that, Dan Bickett. And of course, keep up the good work. This is some really, really good trading. So always happy to really see your screenshots here. And I can see that you did get a buy also on the NAS 100. So I can see that you got a bunch of buying opportunities down here. Stop losses for both trades somewhere within this region here as you're expecting the market to continue moving up higher. So shout out to you for this one as well. And do keep up the good work. So it seems like you're man of the match once again. Got 3 trades in yesterday. So keep up the good work. That's some really, really good work that you're doing on the charts. So next we did get a screenshot from Pius, or is it Pius? I think it depends on whether you went to primary or primary, but this one is a good trade. This is on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So I can see that you got a sell somewhere within here, which is not such a bad attempt, but maybe if you waited for the pullback, could have been a bit safer. But it's good to see that you did have your stop loss somewhere just above there on entry, which is okay, targeting down here. Of course, I think you did mention you're still practicing on your trading, which is okay. In any case, we always say the best way to learn how to trade is to actually trade. So you'll definitely learn a thing or two from this. So this is some good trading. And of course, happy to see your screenshot here. And hopefully we will see more of your progress even in the coming days. So we did get a screenshot from Christine Washera as well. So this is on gold. So I can see that you got 2 buying opportunities down here. As the market was going up, moved your stop losses up higher just within this region, which is good. Definitely secured a lot of profits, even as the market continues to move up in your favor. So shout out to you for that, Christine Washera, and of course, do keep up the good work as well. Always happy to also see your screenshots here. So last but not least, we did get a screenshot from George Shege. So this is on gold as well. So I can see that you got a buying opportunity on this one. Stop loss already above your point of entry, just beneath this bar as well, pushing the market to the upside, which is very good. And I can see that you're targeting high up within this region right here. So shout out to you for that as well, George. And of course, keep up the good work. So shout out to Dan Bickett, Pius, Christine, George. Always happy to see your screenshots here. And remember, guys, it's not competition. So embrace where you are. If you do get any trades in, whether good or bad, feel free to send them in to us. Contact details should be there in the chat box. We'll definitely be happy to see what you're up to. And of course, if we do see something that you can end up changing on your trades, then we'll definitely give you that much needed advice. So you can find our contact details. They should be in the video description. And of course, if you do need more help, also feel free to reach out to us with the same contact details. We'll see how best we can end up helping you. So that's pretty much it in terms of what happened yesterday and the screenshots. So I guess we can shift gears into matters today. So this is the watch list for today. So we're going to start off with the Great British Pound pairs, mix and match them up with everything on the sell side, move on to the Canadian dollar pairs, finish off with the USD pairs. On the fundamental front, there's already been quite a number of news events that have already been released. I pointed out that there were some NZD interest rate decisions that had been released earlier today. That's the reason why you're seeing those massive moves on the NZDs. So we'll see what happens, although the interest rates came out weaker. So we're expecting weakness in as much as there were some knee-jerk reactions that happened. Maybe the strength that the NZDs are showing could be short-lived. So we have that on the sell side, already factored that in, and also everything else above this line right here has already been factored into our analysis. So moving forward, you can see that there will be some CPIs for the GBPs. We'll wait and see what happens with that. I think there could be some volatility on the GBPs. And also you can see that there will be some Euro news events and some USD news events that are going to be coming out much later on. So we're going to start off with the GBP pairs. So we'll start off with the Great British Pound against the Swiss franc. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the 3 areas that I had pointed out, also an illustration or illustrations of what to expect. So in the morning, the price was somewhere within this region here. It was either the market to possibly move up higher, come back in, then we could have looked for the buying opportunities, or maybe the pullback happening back within this region to possibly look for the buys. You can't see that the market just came shy of this area right here before actually moving to the upside. And if you can't look at the times, you can't see that this was at around 4 p.m. Price just came slightly just shy of that area and then continued moving to the upside. And it did move to the upside for pretty much the whole of the US session. So for this one, for today, we will be watching out to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So these are the three areas we will be watching out for today. You can see the pullback is starting to come in, through the Asian session. Let's see if we can get the market coming back in as close as possible within this region. And I think we could get some very, very good buying opportunities off there. Watch out for the region at the top as well. I mean, the market could easily bounce off here, move to the upside. If that does happen, then at least we could try and see whether we could get some conservative buying opportunities higher up within this region. So let's see what happens on this one. Also watch out for the region at the bottom. It's a bit of a long shot, but in case the market finds its way there, then at least we know that that's going to be the last area where we will be trying to attempt aggressive buying opportunities. So the next one is the euro against the Great British Pound. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some sells. You can see the three areas I had pointed out and also illustrations of what to expect. So it was either price to come back in within there or possibly breach to the downside, come back in for some sort of a retest within here for us to look for the sells. So you can see on the first attempt, the price or the sellers were unsuccessful. So price came down, bounced off to the upside, came down during the US session, but you can't see that the market did actually tap back in within here and actually hold. And after that, you can see that the market did drop. So for this one, we will still be keeping up with the sells. So the three areas that we will be watching out for are these three regions right here. So let's see if we can get some proper sells within these three areas, and also definitely areas where we should be watching out to manage our trades. So right now the pullback is happening. Hopefully we will get the pullback coming back in somewhere as close as possible within this region. If that happens, then I think we could get some very, very good selling opportunities on this one somewhere within this region. So let's wait and see what happens. But also watch out for the region at the top. It's a bit of a long shot, but we can also find price maybe just tapping back within there. Remember, we do have some GBP CPIs that are going to be coming out. Maybe there could be some volatility, and maybe the big boys, if they do need that price, then we also should be ready for that as well. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the Australian dollar. So for this one, we're watching out for buying opportunities yesterday. So you can see the three areas that I had pointed out, also an illustration of what to expect. We're expecting price to come back in, possibly hold before we look for the buys. This one was a bit messy, to be honest, within this region, because we're expecting the market to hold and continue holding above, but you can see that it was holding above, sometimes coming to the downside. Then when it came back to the upside, it completely took off and went, all the way to that region at the top right there. So for this one, the levels are the same. So price is maintaining. Price hasn't gone far and beyond the region that we were watching out for yesterday. The market is back within the same region where it was yesterday at a time like this. So it's done a full cycle, gone up, come down. Buyers are definitely here. There's a possibility we could get the market spiking within this region, coming down. Possibly if it does do that, I think that will incite more sellers to come in for the buyers to make an attempt to break this region to the upside. So let's wait and see what happens on this one. But there's also a possibility price can also come back in within that region at the bottom right there. If that does end up happening, then at least we should also be ready for that as well. But remembering that that's going to be the last area where we will be attempting our aggressive buying opportunities. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the New Zealand dollar. So this is a new entrant on our watch list, and we will be attempting to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So hopefully you can take note of these three areas right here. These are the three areas we will be trying to see whether we can get our trades in. You can see those spikes that did happen when the interest rate decisions did appear. Of course, lots of guys were hitting buys when the market was high up within there. Can only imagine what's happening to them right now. So you can see that the market has actually ended up pulling back in, very, very deep pullback, but we're expecting hopefully they will end up slowing down, or the sellers will end up slowing down. If that does happen, let's say we get the market possibly coming back to the upside of this region, do get some sort of a hold within here, I think we can possibly end up trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities at that point in time. But also watch out for this region at the bottom. The sellers are really coming in quite aggressive, so they might need to tap in within this region before they fully slow down, and maybe we might get the proper buying opportunities of this area here. So just make sure that you also do have that level, but remembering that in case the market breaks and holds beneath that region to the downside, then unfortunately there will be no trade for us. So last but not least, for the GBP pairs, we have the Great British Pound against the Japanese yen. So for this one, also a new entrant on our watch list, we will be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities on this one. So also do watch out for those three areas right there. So right now the market is pulling back in. Hopefully we will get these buyers within here reacting. If they do and they can push the market back to the upside of this region, especially if they do it quite aggressively and we get a hold within here, I think we might make go for it in terms of the buys, definitely targeting up there, but make sure that you watch out for this region. Definitely an area where you could run into issues, with the opposite party. So just make sure that you do have that in mind, remembering the red SNR at the bottom. Definitely the last area where we will be attempting our aggressive buying opportunities. So I guess that's pretty much it in terms of the GBP pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the CAD pairs. We're going to start off with the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities, and you can see the three areas that I had pointed out. So aggressive, conservative, semi-aggressive, conservative here. In the morning, when we're looking at the charts, price was somewhere here, and I pointed out that we're expecting price to possibly come back in within here, maybe give some sort of an attempt to break to the downside. We get the buyers really showing up aggressive, because these were not really the big boys, that point in time. But you can see that they showed up there, price pulled back. And if you look at the time, this was at exactly 4, moving into 5:30. That's when the market started to make a move to the upside. So this one was quite a textbook entry. And you can see that even after the market broke this region to the upside, it technically did come back in, just up within this region. Right now, it's challenging this region, the semi-aggressive conservative area. So in terms of looking for buying opportunities on this one, don't look for the buys now. Just wait and see if we can first get the market breaching above this semi-aggressive conservative region first. We do get the price possibly breaking above this region to the upside, get the pullback coming back in. Maybe we do get some attempts, of the sellers to actually push the market to the upside. Then I think at that point in time, I think we can actually end up trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. Let me see if I can do that again. So if we get the market breaking, possibly holding, some attempts that you do see, within this region, wicks, probes, inside bars within that region, then at least we can try and see whether we can get some buying opportunities. But also remember that the market can also pull back in. We're within a seller's region. The London market open is around the corner. If price continues to hold within this region, then that means that we could also be on the pullback phase all through the London session, and maybe during the US session. You could find price back within this same region right here, and we could find some proper buying opportunities happening there. So just make sure that you do watch out for that. But remembering the red SNR at the bottom, that's going to be the last area where we will be attempting our aggressive buying opportunities. So moving on into the next one, this is the euro against the Canadian dollar. So for this one yesterday, we were trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see what the game plan was. So in the morning, price was here. We're expecting maybe a breach to the downside of this area and something we could read within here for us to look for the sells. It wasn't very clear, but you can see that there was a mess that happened here. Price went up, came down, and after it came down, there wasn't really much of a pullback until somewhere within this area right here, which was during the Asian session. So this one wasn't very, very clear. But let's see what happens on this one today. So these are the three areas we will be watching out for. So the same three areas that we did have yesterday. There isn't much of a change. you can't see that price has not really moved fine beyond the regions that we're watching out for yesterday. So there isn't much of a change on that front. So right now the pullback is happening. Let's see if we can get this price maybe just coming back in within this area here. There's a possibility, I'm thinking, if it does come back, maybe price might even attempt to just go slightly higher than this, which means that if you do look for the sells within here and your stops are not higher than this level here, there's a possibility you will get stopped out. But it's always better to wait for the probe to happen. Once it happens, then you can look for the selling opportunity. So let's wait and see what happens. Also remember the red SNR at the top. In case price finds its way there, then at least we should also be ready for that. So the next one, this is the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday we're also trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see the three areas I had pointed out. In the morning, price was here, expecting maybe the market to just start within there. Unfortunately, it didn't. You can see that the market just came down, bounced off this region, and right now it's coming back in within this same area that we had yesterday. So let's see if the sellers are going to be reacting off that red SNR at the top right there. You can see that the way the buyers are coming in, they are coming in a bit aggressive, but at least slower than what they did the previous time. Because you can see that the market had really come into this region quite aggressively. If you look at what's happening now, at least you can see a sequence of higher highs and higher lows. So let's just hope they do run out of steam somewhere within this region. If that does happen and everything aligns, we're closer to the market opening times, I think we could get a very good selling opportunity, and we could potentially end up getting down within this region, which is where we were targeting yesterday. So watch out for that. Remember, in case the market breaks and holds above the red SNR to the upside, unfortunately, there will be no trade for us. So the next one is the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. So this is a new entrant on our watch list, and we'll be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities. You can see that the buyers are coming up quite aggressive. Of course, also something to do with the interest rate decisions that were released. Initially, the market went down, came back up. It's something we're seeing with all the rest of the NZD pairs. So we'll have to wait and see, and make sure that you really watch out for correlation, because if the slowdown doesn't happen, then it means that the big boys are possibly not interested in dumping the New Zealand dollar. So that might end up meaning that we might actually end up shifting things tomorrow, but it's purely based on what ends up happening across the board, not on one. So let's see what happens. Right now, the market is approaching this region here, but we're really waiting to see whether we can get the market slowing down. There's a possibility for the buyers to slow down. They will possibly end up attempting to break above this region to the upside. If that ends up being unsuccessful and the price is pushed back to the downside of this area, I think the sellers will actually have a field day, maybe pushing prices back within here. But you definitely will also need to manage your trades within these regions, even if you will be targeting areas much lower. So make sure you take note of that. So hopefully that's pretty much it for the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. So last but not least, for the card pairs, we have the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. So this is also a new entrant on our watch list, and we will be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities on this one. So these are the three areas that we've mapped out. So hopefully you can end up taking note of them. So right now the market has just attempted to go to the upside of this region, and this was during the Asian session. The buyers went up aggressive, the sellers have pushed the market down. It's back within this buyers region. But let's see if we can get price possibly pushing up again, because those buyers can do it again. You know, they did it before, they can do it again, but at least the safest buys will definitely be high up within this area here. So if you're going to be looking for buying opportunities when the price is holding where it is, unless you're a real cowboy on the charts, you could. But the only problem is that you'll definitely have to end up coming against this level right here. So getting a proper risk to reward off this area coming up might be a bit tricky. You might be better off possibly waiting for price to come back in, maybe a bit lower, because if it comes back at least within this region here and we do get proper entry there, coming up, this trade right here will give you lesser issues than this one. So these are the two options that I would best advise that you actually end up going for. So hopefully you've taken note of that. And that's pretty much it in terms of the Canadian dollar pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the USD pairs, which are going to be the last set of currency pairs. that we're going to be looking at. So we'll start off with the US dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one, new entrant on our watch list, we will be watching out to see whether we can get some buying opportunities on this one. So these are the three areas that I will be keeping my eyes locked on. So there's the aggressive area right at the bottom right there. We do have the semi-aggressive conservative region here, which you can see is reacting because the bars came up. And right now you can't see that there's some sort of a pullback that's coming in. Let's see if the sellers can actually come in somewhere as close as possible within here. But I'm thinking that we can also watch out to see what happens within this area, because you could find the sellers really slowing down within that particular region. If that ends up being the case, then at least we can end up looking for some buying opportunities at that point in time, but also watching out for the times and the story of what happens when price comes in within there. So also watch out for the region at the bottom. Definitely that's going to be the last area where we will be attempting our aggressive buying opportunities. If we get a breach beneath that region, then unfortunately there will be no trade for us. So the next one, this is the euro against the US dollar. So for this one, new entrant on our watch list, we're going to be watching out for selling opportunities. These are the three areas we will be watching out for. You can see within this area, sellers have reacted before. They can react again. The buyers are coming up, at least not so aggressively. But let's see if they can slow down within this area. If they do, I think there could be some very, very good selling opportunities, and the best selling opportunities are definitely here. So also watch out for the region at the top. In case the pullback does come in deeper, then we should also be ready for that. But remembering that any breach and hold above that area to the upside, unfortunately, will mean that we'll have to fall back on our selling opportunities. So the next one, this is the Australian dollar against the US dollar, also a new entrant on our watch list, and we'll be trying to see whether we can get selling opportunities on this one as well. So these are the three areas that we've mapped out. You can see the bars have come in within a seller's region, which is good. So we just need to see if we can get the sellers showing up within this area, and hopefully the buyers slowing down. If that happens, then I think there could be some very, very good selling opportunities on this one to calm down. Make sure you manage your trade within here. And of course, for the guys who are very good at trading, you could definitely scale in within this particular region as you end up targeting down within this region right here. So watch out for that. But right now, we need to be a bit patient. It's within a seller's region, which is good. Let's see if the landed big boys are going to be interested in hitting selling opportunities on that one. If they are, then at least we can end up joining them. So moving on into the next USD pair, this is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that we had. So in the morning, price was here. We're expecting maybe price to pull back in within this region here and give us something, to tell us to look for the buying opportunities. But the market went up fast, came down in a choppy manner at around 4. Price was here, but price really struggled, to lift to the upside of that area there. And then you can see that, earlier today, when the interest rate decisions for the NZD were released, the market really spiked to the downside, then came back quite aggressively. So for this one, it wasn't the best of opportunities yesterday. And today we're going to be going the other way. So we'll be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. The levels are the same. It's just switching them up. So we had the red SNR at the bottom right here yesterday and the yellow one at the top. So it's just switching them up. In case price breaks above this region to the upside, then unfortunately there will be no trade for us. But hopefully if we get maybe even the sellers reacting off this region here, because they can, and we get the price coming back to the downside and we get a hold within here, I think we could make a go for it in terms of selling opportunities, but definitely you will need to manage your trade within here, even if you will be targeting areas much, much lower. So watch out for that. Also watch out for the region at the top. For the NZDs, like I pointed out, be a bit careful, but if you're really good at reading correlation, just make sure that, you actually look at all of them across board. When you see a turn on one, have a look at the others. Maybe it could be time when the big boys are actually getting ready to jump in back into the markets. And at least just by doing that, you might even end up getting quite a number of NZDs, but also don't really end up taking too many, exposing yourself to too much risk, because if things do end up going wrong and you're hanging on to quite a number of NZDs, then you're gonna end up getting quite a number of losses, which is not going to be very, very good. So just make sure that you also watch out for that. Make sure that you pick the ones that possibly give you the highest risk to rewards as opposed to picking everything. Because some of the ones that won't give you proper risk to rewards might actually not be worth you putting your hard-earned money. So last but not least, this is the US dollar against Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could get some selling opportunities. You can't see what the three areas were right there, which are the same three areas we had or we have today. So in the morning, price was here. We're expecting price to pull back in within this region for some sales. Price just pulled back in within there, tapped within there at around 11. After that, price started its journey coming down. Can't see that at around 4, 5:30, price was on the opposite end, down within this region. So I guess the selling opportunity that was there on this one was only during the London session. During the US session, the market was on the pullback. Then once again, during the Asian session, you can see that the market came down again. So for this one, we're going to be trying to see whether we can get some buying opportunities. The market is back within a buyer's region, which is good. So let's see if the market can set itself up just before the London market open. If we do get the market attempting to break beneath that region to the downside, because looking at how those sellers are coming in, they just might, and we get the market maybe probing within that area, the market holding, we get a sign of the big boys showing up within that particular region, then I think it could be good time in terms of the buys. But make sure you watch out for this region here. Even if you will be targeting, we will be targeting higher up within these areas here, or maybe even higher. But considering the fact that the market might be getting into a range, within this area, you don't really want to ignore the fact that you could come up and these sellers could easily react and the price could be taken back down within here. So just make sure you watch out for that. In case the market breaks and holds above this region, we get a breach of structure of that region, then I think you could take some buying opportunities from here, targeting all the way high up within that region there. So watch out for that. Remember the red SNR, in case the market breaks and holds beneath that region to the downside, then unfortunately there will be no trade for us at that point in time. And I guess we'll have to look for opportunities elsewhere. So that's pretty much it in terms of the currency pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the indices and the commodities. You can see that there isn't been a change on that front. So the US 30 or the Dow Jones is still on the sell side. The rest, its brothers and sisters are still on the buy side. So let's see how things went yesterday and what to expect today. So we'll start off with the NAS 100. So for this one, yesterday, the bus was to try see whether we could get some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas that I had pointed out and also an illustration of what maybe to expect before we do hit buys. So price was here. We're expecting the pullback to come in. The pullback came in. I mean, if you got buys here, you definitely did need to manage your trade within here. Like we always say, when the market breaks a certain level, pulls back, the level that it makes a high or a low is definitely a region you need to mark and make sure that you're careful in terms of money management. So you can see that the price came up, just tapped within that region, and you can see that from around 5:30, price pulled back in quite aggressively back within this region here. There was a big fight that went on within here. At some point, even price seemed like it could have come back in within this region, but the buyers were actually able to contain the sellers, who had come in quite aggressively. So for this one, for today, seems like price has also done a full cycle on this one. We're more or less back within the same region where we were yesterday morning. So let's see if maybe, especially with this move coming down, because if the buyers couldn't get past this region, this was definitely, a move to actually end up inciting more sellers to come into the market. And I'm sure very many sellers came in, and hopefully this is what the buyers did need to possibly make a breach or a break of this level to the upside. So what we will be waiting for is if we can get the market possibly showing us more. We also do need to see signs of the big boy buyers showing up. Then at least if we do hit the buys there, you'll definitely need to watch out for this region, somewhere within this area. You can't ignore the fact that the market turned within that area before. It can't do that again. So watch out for that. Also watch out for these two other regions. There's a possibility price can pull back in. If it does, then at least you do know that those are also areas where you can try and see whether you can get potential buying opportunities. If you do get a sell on the NAS 100, you can take them, but like I always say, counters are quite risky. You might not end up going as far as you may want or as far as you may think, because the big boys can always come in at any given point in time, especially considering the fact that the buyers are still in control. So you just need to be careful. But what I normally tell guys is, I mean, if you're going to be taking counters, just make sure you take them on lesser risk than you would on a normal trade. So let's say, for example, since we're in buyers, if you're going to be taking a buy, you can take the buys on, let's say, 2-3% risk. If you're going to be taking counters, then bring that down to maybe 1%, 0.5%, so that in case you end up losing on the counter and you gain on, let's say when you take the trade in the direction that the market is going, you would play some sort of a zero-sum game. So it's maybe a small loss versus a big win. And I mean, that's the only way to stay afloat when it comes to trading. Just make sure that your winners are bigger than your losses. So moving on into the next one, which is the US 30. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could get some selling opportunities. You can't see the three areas I had pointed out. Also an illustration of maybe what we expect. Price was here. We're expecting maybe price to pull back in within there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Or maybe price breaking beneath this region to the downside, because we did have this area. And you can see that the market attempted to bounce off this area to the upside, came down, pulled back in within this area right here, and you can see that there was a quick pullback within there before price actually came down all the way to within this region. So for this one, for today, these are the same areas that we had yesterday. In as much as price has moved, it's not really moved far and beyond the areas that we're watching out for yesterday. So we will be trying to see whether we can get something we can read in terms of the sales. We'll still keep this level here because I mean, it's still an area of interest, but of course, we know that the major level is definitely higher up within this area here. So let's wait and see what happens. We easily could find, maybe in as much as price seems to have broken above this region to the upside, if we get price coming back in within here, maybe even some attempts for price to, push to the upside, which end up being unsuccessful. I think at that point in time, we could try and see whether we could get some sales within here, but also you can watch out for that region, and definitely the region at the top is going to be the last area. So make sure that you watch out for that. Remember that when it comes to the indices and the commodities, we're fully technical in as much as fundamentals do play a part in the market movements and everything. But in terms of whether taking the buys or the sells, it's purely based on whether the market is above or beneath the red SNR. So for as long as we're holding above the red SNR, then the bias is definitely to try see whether we can get buying opportunities. So the second last thing, which we normally look at, is silver. So for silver, the bias is still to try see whether we can get some buying opportunities. So you can see the three areas that I had pointed out yesterday. And you can see that in the morning, price was here. We wanted price to at least break above this area to the upside for us to look for buys. Consider there was a real fight that was going on within this region here. And price did actually end up breaking to the upside, held, although you did need to read this on a smaller time frame. And after that, you can see that the price did push itself off this region to the upside, coming in to challenge that area. And of course, today during the Asian session, some sort of a pullback, an aggressive pullback came in, but the buyers have still been able to contain. And I guess it's these same buyers who are sitting within this particular region right here. So in terms of the buying opportunities on this one, be a bit patient. Right now, in terms of looking for the buys might not be the best of ideas, because you're also not too sure whether this region could easily react, and you could find price coming back within this area here, and you could find that maybe the proper buying opportunities might actually happen off this region here. So that could be one scenario. The other scenario that you should be waiting for should be at least price breaking above this region to the upside. It comes back in within here, and we do get the market holding above. I think the next best buy would be somewhere here. So let's wait and see what does end up happening on this one. But also watch out for the red SNR. Price can also find its way back there. I mean, if the big boys do need that price, then price will definitely come back in within there. And if we do see something that can tell us to look for the buying opportunities, then we definitely can. So last but not least, we do have gold. So for gold, this one yesterday was also a buy. And you can see what the game plan was right here. So in the morning, price was somewhere here. Wanted to see price maybe coming back in within here, holding. You can see that price came back in, somehow held within here, although the big boys were really hiding their cards. It wasn't very evident at what point in time the big boys came in. And then after that, you can see that the market started its move to the upside, coming in, breaking this region, holding and continuing to move up. And it seems that price is still coming back, within this region right here. But definitely the buyers are definitely in control. So for this one, watch out for these three regions right here. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we can get price pulling back in somewhere as close as possible within this region. And I think the best buying opportunities could be within here, especially if we get the sellers really coming in not aggressively, then I think we could potentially end up getting some very good buys somewhere off here. Hopefully during the London session, we get the market pulling back in, not aggressively though, and then later on, we possibly get the buyers now really showing up. Also watching out for the times, hopefully at around 4 or 5:30, I think we could get some very, very good buys. But also watch out for this region at the bottom. There's also an SNR somewhere here that I can also point out where you could find that maybe price might just need to tap back within here. Unless you're highly skilled, this entry right here could be a bit of a challenge for most people, unless you're highly skilled on the charts. But at least when the market comes back in, especially if it taps back within here, comes back, taps within this area, I think you could potentially get a very good buy opportunity within this particular region, coming up. So just make sure that you also watch out for that. So I guess that is pretty much it for everything. So hopefully you've taken note of everything we have discussed. And of course, for the guys who've come in a bit later, then the watch list is right there. So looking at the chat box, not really seeing anything, any questions, which is okay. I guess everything is clear. But like we always say, at least you do have the provision to rewatch this as many times as possible. In any case, if anything is not clear. And at least since we started doing this on YouTube, we don't usually have a lot of kindly repeat this and that. So I guess having the recording has definitely ended up helping. So I guess that's pretty much it from me. Guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. If you get any good trades or any trades whatsoever, whether good or bad, feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details right there in the video description. Also feel free to reach out to us. If you want to sign up for the AMP, there should also be a link in the video description that should guide you there. And also, if you're looking for a good and reputable broker to open an MT5 account, you should also be able to get a link to lead you on that front, and that should be in the video description. So I'm seeing Lucy Joroge there saying, good morning, how much is your training? Well, we do have quite a number of programs, but if you're asking about the AMP is 50,000. So that one comes together with the masterclass. So at least you will need to do the masterclass. Then, of course, after that, join the AMP. But combined, it's about 50,000, and that should definitely end up taking your trading to the next level. But also feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details definitely there on the video description, but also feel free also to sign up for the AMP, and our team will definitely get back to you. So I hope that sorts you out, Lucy. So I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. So with that, happy trading, guys, and bye for now. The peace be with you. God bless.